Hey guys, Dave from Wolfhard Hobbying here, and welcome back to Talk Tuesday. This one, I'm not answering anybody's questions. As the time of recording this video, there were no questions left on last week's video, but that's all right. This one here, I just kind of wanted to talk to you about, kind of more about me, of like how and why I got into wargaming and the hobby in general. Now, probably like a lot of you guys, I got into it because my friends were into it. How I actually got into it was years ago. A group of guys I played D&D with, they introduced me to Warhammer 40K in the sense of we were playing with D&D miniatures and things like that, and I had started painting up my dude and things like that, and then I started painting up some of their little miniatures for our battle board, and they asked me if I was interested in painting miniatures, like more than what I had just done, and I told them yeah. So they showed me a book of 40K. Now I didn't get into it at that point. I saw some of the armies, and I was actually interested in Tau at first because in my mindset, like the future, everything's shooty and things like that. So the idea of chain swords and big knives and combat knives didn't really appeal to me, and the idea of like picking off your enemy at range before they can even attack you in close combat, just Tau really appealed to me. They still do, but there were just other armies when I really got into it that I was more into those armies than the actual Tau. So that was my first kind of introduction to 40K. Now, nothing really blossomed out of that. They did tell me that if I was interested, that there was a gaming store around where I was living at that time, and that what the armies were like, what the game plays like, and things like that. And they also told me if I wanted to kind of get a idea of what they were talking about, to try Dawn of War 1. Because I was big into RTS, StarCraft style games, Warcraft, things like that. So I tried that, and that really pushed me into the world of 40K. But again, nothing really came of that. I went into a Games Workshop, here and there, to look at some of their fantasy range for D&D, and they were telling me about the game as well. What they used to do. They got me sitting down, painted a miniature. They had a guy, telling me about base coating, priming, things I didn't really know, because I was just painting straight onto metal at that time, the metal models. And so, they taught me about, why you should use a primer and things like that. I've really started getting into it when I had moved away from that group. So for a while, nothing came of the hobby until one of my friends, my friend Matt, he was interested in playing fantasy. He wanted to, I can't remember, I think he wanted to play the orcs in fantasy with the night goblins or something about randomness. I don't really remember. It was 7 years ago. 7-8 years ago when I love anything Egyptian. I don't know why. I've always been fascinated with ancient Egypt and things like that. So bought a whole bunch of Tomb Kings and started painting them up, and we started playing, and we didn't really like the pace of the game. Now, I know a lot of people love fantasy, and I know things like that, but for me, I don't like the game. I don't like the regimented little blocks of dudes. Like, it makes moving your army a lot easier than in 40K, where you've got, a blob of 20 dudes, and you got to move them individually. But with fantasy, I didn't like that. I didn't like the, kind of, Civil War type of movement where like everybody's in regiments and things like that. So we didn't really like the pace. So then I believe it was me who suggested, well, let's get into 40K. Let's try that, and it took off from there. I got into starting with Eldar. I don't know what edition their codex would have been at that time. But I got into Eldar, and I didn't do any research. I saw them. I liked the look of their units, like I was saying with the Wraith Lords and all that in my list building video. I liked the look of those models, so I got into them, not realizing how kind of specially army they are. If that, like, I was playing them like run and gun, where I wasn't really playing them as like strategical strikes or anything like that. And we were playing with about 500 points, so it wasn't like huge scale games. So like I had a Farseer, some troops, and I think some striking scorpions or something like that. Anyways, it was about 500 points. So I kept getting crushed because one of my buddies was playing Tau. So me running at him, he was just gunning me down. So that kind of stopped me from playing Eldar because at that time I really didn't know. Like, I thought it was just a weak army. It was a bad book. It was bad army to play. Things like that. I didn't do a lot of research on how you should be playing Eldar or the tactics behind them. So I thought they were just a garbage army. Then I got into Space Marines, and I've kind of been with Space Marines since. When Eldar got their update, not the Craft World Eldar, but the Codex Eldar, when they got a new update, I got back into my Eldar just because they had fresher rules. I learned the game a lot more. So about 8 years ago is when I really propelled myself into this hobby. I was buying, building, painting a lot. And like over the years, my collection has just grown and grown. Like I think I have about 3,000 points of Space Wolves, not built and painted, but a lot of it built and painted. About 3,000 points of Space Wolves, and I'm still not done with them. I've got what I need to have a nice change in army composition, but not a lot of like I've got one Predator, one Land Raider. I got one Storm Wolf. Like, there's so much more I could add. I don't have bikes. I have about 5 jump troops. I've got lots of Grey Hunters and lots of Terminators, but, there's still a lot more I could flush out with that army. And the same goes with my Eldar. My Eldar, I think I totaled up, if I built the list with everything I have, I would probably have about 4,000 points. And even that, like, I still don't have everything I need. I need more Banshees. I want Swooping Hawks, more Warp Spiders. I've got 10 Dire Avengers. So, like, I want more for them. But, with prices and, being a stay-at-home dad, again, like my video about being a parent and a wargamer, money's very tight. So I'm really picky on what I buy now. But that's what got me into the hobby and to the wargaming itself, was more or less hanging out with my friends. Now I'm a huge video game gamer as well, so I get bored of stuff very quickly. Like games, I'll play them, beat them, and then I tend to put them on a shelf for a couple months. So, and I don't want to sound like I'm getting old or anything, but with video games, it's now gone more online. Like, I don't find a lot of split screen co-op games anymore. Like, I know it's kind of easier to play co-op games when you each have your own TV, but I kind of miss like hanging out with my buddies, playing games like that. Like, you still get that with fighting games like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter and Super Smash Brothers, but even that, like, fighting games get very boring after a while. So I like the aspect of having a game where I can play with my friends. We could hang out, just sit around a table, paint, listen to music, shoot the shit, and things like that. So that's what really drove me into the hobby. And then it kind of became an obsession after that. I didn't play a lot, and I still haven't played a lot of 40K. But, even being in areas where there was a club or a gaming group, I found I still wasn't playing as much as I was building and painting. I think I like that aspect a lot more of the games, of building, painting, making army lists, things like that, because I'm a very creative person. Like I used to play a lot of D&D, so like I loved creating characters, loved creating backstories, loved creating stories in general. And it just sucks that D&D for me has kind of died off, because I think I've got like 2 or 3 players that could play here, but I miss playing D&D as like a big group, like 5-6 players in your DM. So I like that aspect of the hobby, though. The list composition, weighing your options. Do I do this? Just that kind of creative aspect of the hobby. More than I do like playing. And I think it's, like, I don't mind playing against my friends or whatever, but, like, and I haven't really had a lot of experience playing in clubs. The last time I lived in an area where I could game in a club, well, kids, I had a job, my free times was spent with my wife, my kids, my family, or building and painting. So I was always building towards going to play, but it just never seemed to get there for me, because a lot of, like, I was working construction, so my days off, I kind of just wanted to relax. When you're lifting heavy rebar, and you're building with, lifting wood and shit like that. So it was very tiring. So I didn't get a chance to play. Now I would love, now that I have a lot of free time, I would love to get more into playing these games, but with just such a small group of people to play with and limited resources, you run into that problem of going up against the same lists over and over and over again. But that's what got me into the hobby, is the fun play. And I know I kind of rambled. I think I'm going on like 12, 13 minutes now. I kind of rambled there for a bit about how I got into it, and why I got into it was the social aspect of it. Because straight, like, when World of Warcraft came out, I played that heavily. I got in with a good guild. We all became really close friends, and I was talking with people that lived in the States, lived in Australia, some that lived in England. Like, I got to meet and talk and hang out with a lot of cool people, and got into a really good guild, and we were like really, really close, like brothers and sisters pretty much. And then I found, like, our lives started to get a little bit more hectic and things like that. And then we eventually, our guild disbanded, and I keep in touch with some of these guys, but a lot of them just kind of, we all scattered to the wind. And I didn't like that idea. I didn't like that I didn't know these people face to face, and, something went wrong, and, I don't talk to these people anymore. Whereas with 40K and stuff like that, you meet people face to face, you play them, you get to talk to them, if they're not like uber competitive, like Death Star, Captain Tryhards, like I'm going to crush you and that's my only goal. If you meet some friendly people, then you can make a friendship for a while. And, you can, if your life gets hectic, you can still, like, hey, I got the kids, you want to come over to my house, we can play on my table type idea. You don't lose contact with them. And again, this is making me sound kind of like an old man, but that's the problem I have with technology, is the fact that it's driving us apart. Now, I'm not going to get into any kind of philosophy or philosophical talk about the dangers of technology, because I'm talking to you on YouTube. But even this medium, like, you're getting kind of to know me, and I'd like to kind of get to know you guys a little bit too. But again, like, I can't go over to your house and play, a game of 40K or a game of Malifaux or something like that. So that I got into it for that social, just hanging out with my friends. Again, we did a lot more painting than we did playing. But when we did play, it was always narrative. Like, why are these people going after, why are they going after this objective? We made narratives out of it. And that's what I'm trying to get with my small group, is a narrative going. But again, life schedules don't always coincide with what I want to do. So that's why I got into the hobby. That's why I like it. And with me picking up X-Wing and playing X-Wing actually a lot more than I've ever played 40K, I'm starting to like that game, because that game takes some strategy involved when you're doing your maneuvers and trying to figure out, okay, well, he might go this way, so I want to stop him. Anyways, it's got a lot of tactics involved. But once your dials are down, I find it's a really good, friendly game. Like, me and my buddy, when we play, we put our dials down, we're talking, whereas with 40K, it's kind of, I find, at least when I'm playing, you're worrying about so much. Like, okay, well, I got to get this tank here, I got to get these guys over here, but he's going to come, like, there's just so much more tactics involved in 40K, especially if you're playing objectives, than X-Wing. X-Wing is kind of like, okay, I'm going to move all my ships this way. I'm done. Okay, I don't have to worry about this anymore. And so that's why I've picked up X-Wing more and focused more on X-Wing, learning X-Wing, than I have really honing my skills at 40K, because of the simple fact of I only get, maybe one night a week where I can get together with my buddies and play or paint or whatever. So it's I kind of like the aspect that I can hammer out 2 or 3 games while still hanging out with a friend. So the nature of the hobby for me is the painting, the building, and the social network that you can make with that. I don't know if this really is going anywhere, or if you guys are even still watching the video, you're interested. But that's kind of my take on like why I got into the hobby. There wasn't really any there wasn't anything that just like clicked in my brain like I want to start doing this game. It took a while, and with me and everything, whenever money's involved, I'm very conscientious about purchases and things like that. Like, will I use this? Do I need it? Like, I've sold off a lot of my minis actually because they end up just sitting in my case, or they're sitting in boxes. I backed the Kickstarter for Wrath of Kings, and I'm pretty sure I talked about that I don't really like the pace of the game. And so now I backed like $150 and got a whole bunch of the stretch goals and that. And I played it a bit with my wife, and now it's all just sitting in a box somewhere, I'm pretty sure. So, I'm not sure. I might keep them. Maybe the game will improve. Maybe Cool Mini will just cut it all together. I don't know. But, things like that, if it's just going to sit in a box, why am I keeping it? Trade it in, sell it to somebody. Somebody else is going to use it. I'm not. I've sold a lot. I have this habit of always, I'm going to start my Space Marine chapter, my vanilla Space Marine chapter. Buy a bunch of stuff, start working on them, then go back to my Eldar or my Space Wolves. I usually and I've sold a lot of my Space Marine stuff to one of my buddies who wants to build up his Space Marine army. So I think he just kind of waits for me to buy them all and then get tired of having the boxes sitting around and sell them to him for cheaper, which is smart on his point, actually. But, so I want to know what you guys think. Why did you get into the hobby? Were you kind of did you accidentally walk into a games workshop, and someone showed you the game, was it because your friends were into it, you happen to catch something online about it? I just kind of want to know how you guys got into the hobby as well. And as always, leave any questions or comments in the comment section below, of topics you'd like me to cover, or questions you'd like me to answer. As always, if you're new to the channel and this is your first Tuesday talk with me, this one may be a bit boring for you guys. I don't know. It's all up to you guys. But if you are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. I do, painting tutorials, things like that. I will be bringing some X-Wing bat reps. Oh yeah, sorry guys. I usually do what's on my painting table. Patriarch is almost finished. I think, all that's left to do on it is I just have to do some small details on him and his base. So let me know if you guys want to see a painting tutorial how I'm going to do his base. It's just going to be kind of like a muddy, sandy type of base, and then he's got that big pipe he's sitting on as well. So let me know if you guys want to see that painting tutorial. I may do it anyways, but let me know if that's something you guys want to see me finish the whole model to completion. Let me know. I will be posting pictures on the Facebook account once he's fully finished. Other than that, the Death Watch campaign still on hold. Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to talk to my buddy about what we're going to do for the models for that. I'm also looking at maybe just doing Kill Team. I think I said that in the last video. So if the Death Watch thing doesn't really pan out, then maybe me and my other buddy might do Kill Team narrative campaign. Also, I am looking at, I can't remember. Anyways, someone out there, let me know. I'll probably put a link in the video description below of where it is. But someone created a kind of narrative campaign for for X-Wing, where the TIE fighters move on their own. There's an AI aspect, and you pick an X-Wing, and you kind of level up your X-Wing, your pilot skill, and you can change ships later on. So that's something we're also looking at getting into. So I might have both a Kill Team going with my buddies for 40K, and my buddy with X-Wing. We might be doing the narrative for that. So stay tuned to that. We're also kind of like with the new orcs or Aurochs, whatever they're called, with all those new models. I'm really itching to get my hands on some of those to paint. And also to play, I'd like to get into Age of Sigmar. But again, when it's $130 Canadian for the big guy on the Maw Crusher, I think it's called. Anyways, with that being $130, and it's kind of expensive. I'm looking at, so I might wait a little bit, see if anything pops up on eBay for a little cheaper. Or anything like that, but I'd like to get my hands on some of those models, build them and paint them, and play them too, because I know some people are gonna hate me. I said I didn't like fantasy, but I like the pace of Age of Sigmar. Again, I was never big into fantasy, so I like how the Age of Sigmar plays. I roll this, I hit you. I roll that, I wound you. And then I take this off your save, and now you gotta try and save. I find the pace is a lot faster. It's a quicker game to learn. Even my 8-year-old daughters want to learn how to play it, and I probably will teach them about it too once I can get my hands on some more Age of Sigmar models. But yeah, I'm looking at getting into Age of Sigmar, so that might be coming down probably a lot later down the line, when they flush out a lot more of the point system, whether I want to do competitive or things like that. And it's also getting my friends into it. I got one, my buddy Chris, he's got a lot of vampire count stuff. So, you know, he's kind of set, whereas I've got some Sigmarites, but I don't really like them. Anyways, that's off topic. Wanted to let you, this was supposed to be the ending of the video, but yeah, stay tuned for that, guys. I'll keep you up to date on the Death Watch. I should be getting an answer about that this week. So the Death Watch may not happen, but if that doesn't, Kill Team will happen. I will make sure it may just be me and my other buddy doing a Kill Team, but Kill Team will happen if Death Watch doesn't. The X-Wing, we're going to try it out first, and if we get a hang of it, get a hang of the rules, and we like it, then we'll probably I'll be filming some of those bat reps as well. So anyways, as always, there will be a link to my Facebook account in the video description below. So if you guys want to shoot me a message over there, if you don't want to leave comments on YouTube, you want a little bit more of a private message, you can shoot me a message on Facebook. As well, there will be a link to my Patreon account down there as well. So, you know, if you guys want to show some support through Patreon, that'd be awesome. It will allow me to get the models for Death Watch. It'll allow me to get the models for Age of Sigmar, or even more models for X-Wing, just to expand what we have available to us, as well as it gives me more opportunities to do like product reviews and things like that. But anyways, guys, I want to thank you for watching the video, and have yourselves a great day.